Hi, Parul Banka here. I'm a public speaking coach. I transform professionals into terrific storytellers. In this video, I want to help you find your signature style of public speaking. Signature style? Yes, the style that defines you as a public speaker, that explores your strengths as a public speaker. The style that is unique to you as a public speaker. I'm somebody who's a big supporter of working with a mentor or a coach. But I'm also somebody who does not approve of becoming a mini version of our coaches or mentors. Why? Because they are them. We are us. Let me share a couple of examples with you to help you understand what I really mean by that. You may have seen that there are people who utilize their body language. They utilize their whole bodies really effectively while doing public speaking. It feels as if they are putting up a live performance, just how you would see an artist performing on stage in a theater. If you look at me, my face is not very expressive. There aren't many expressions that come on my face. And this is after working on this particular aspect for many, many years as a speaker. There are lots of speakers I know from Ireland, Scotland, England. And one of the things that I find really amazing about them is their humor. There are lots of American speakers I know, and I truly believe that they are able to utilize their bodies really effectively. Watching them is almost like watching a live performance, as if you're seeing a theater artist perform. If you look at all these people, there are different strengths that they're utilizing while putting up a public speaking performance. People who are, let's say, utilizing their body very effectively has that as a strength. People who, let's say, utilize humor has that as a strength. Many years ago, when I started public speaking, I was really concerned that my face was not really expressive. And while I'm still working on it, at improving it, I understood that that was not how I would excel as a public speaker. So it was really important for me to try and find out what my signature style is, what makes me as me, what makes me connect with the audience as a speaker. And so after a lot of work and mentoring and coaching, I arrived at my signature style in public speaking. The message that I want to share with you is you've got to work with your strengths. There may be somebody who's, let's say, amazing at using their voice. Great. It may not be your thing. You've got to find what's great for you, what makes you very, very special. And I want to go on sharing some of the key things that make my signature style of public speaking. The first one is sharing my scars, tattoos, vulnerability. They said in the movie, trials by fire, lives reforged. The scars are like tattoos, but with better stories. During years of practice as a public speaker, I realized that one thing that I did really well was to connect with my audience through my vulnerability. Why? Because when as a speaker you lower your guard just enough, your audience starts trusting you. When they don't know you just before your speaking performance, they don't really have an opinion about you. They don't really know whether they should trust you or not trust you. But when you lower your guard enough, just enough, they see the human in you. And that's what creates that connection. I notice that when I share my scars and the stories that my scars tell, I connect with my audience. So vulnerability is one thing that defines me as a speaker. The second thing that defines me as a speaker is authenticity. If you have been following me on the videos that I do, authenticity is a theme that I talk about often because I believe that it is just so important to be our authentic selves. Authenticity is tricky. There are some people who believe that authenticity is not authentic enough because as a person, you bring only those parts of you out in the open that you want other people to see. And there are lots of other parts, the skeletons in the closet parts that you and I don't share with the rest of the world. And that is true. What I mean by authenticity is that as an adult, you and I take responsibility for what we will share with our audience and how much we'll share. And the parts that we decide to share with our audience, talk about, write about, speak about, they should be real. So if, let's say, there are certain things you don't want to talk about, you don't want people to know, don't talk about them. But whatever you talk about, let that be the real you. This is one of my favorite examples on how I implement authenticity and vulnerability. In fact, it's also going to cover the third point that I want to share with you. And that is talking about my cancer experience. I'm somebody who went through a very intense experience of cancer. Thankfully, I survived and recovered and lived to tell the tale. And now I help lots of people going through cancer, patients, survivors, and carers. And I help them as a coach to rebuild their lives as people who have been touched by cancer. Now, in my entire experience of cancer, there are certain parts that I'm still working on as far as accepting them are concerned or coming to terms with them is concerned. But there are lots of parts that I have been able to process. And so when I share my cancer story out in the public, I talk about those parts. And whatever I share is absolutely real. I'm not comfortable sharing about a couple of things. I don't talk about them. But whatever I share is the real me. It doesn't mean that there is not more to me than what you hear. But whatever and how much ever you hear is going to be the real me. And that's what I mean by authenticity. As I said before, as an adult, it is up to you and I to decide what we will share with our audience out in the open and how much we'll share. So we have done vulnerability through scars who tell stories. We have talked about authenticity, and now I come to the third point that defines my signature style in public speaking, and that is connecting with my audience through stories. This is also something that I talk about often because I believe that storytelling is one of the strongest and the most important pillars of public speaking. That is the main way in which you connect with your audience. Human beings are wired for a need to connect with people, and stories facilitate that connection. No matter what kind of presentation or talk or speech it is, whether it is a technical presentation or it's a consulting assignment where, let's say, you're doing lots of data-driven project management kind of presentation, or whether it's an inspiring talk or a motivational talk, or whether it's a sales conversation, stories should be the main tool that you utilize. So instead of, let's say, talking about what happened, you can actually weave a story about it. I'll go back to the cancer experience as an example. I do a lot of speaking to build awareness about cancer so that people understand what the symptoms are, pick up those symptoms, go and see their doctors, because in the world of cancer, that can be the deciding factor between whether somebody lives or dies as a result of a cancer diagnosis. So I do my bit to build awareness. But instead of saying, for example, that finding a lump in the breast is a symptom, could be a symptom of breast cancer, I would weave a story. I share with them how I found a lump in my breast, how I went to see the doctor, how I got diagnosed. So a lump in the breast could be a sign of breast cancer is data. But how I found it, how I went to see my doctor, how I was diagnosed is my story. This is data. This connects. This, not so much. So you've got to find your signature style of public speaking. You may have lots of role models who you admire, your mentors, your coaches, public speakers, celebrity speakers, artists. It's great to learn from each of them, but I wouldn't suggest becoming like them. You've got to find your own signature style, because that's what is going to make you connect with your audience. I hope this was helpful. Do come and join my community at www.caramelcoaching.com. Do comment on this video and tell me what your signature style is. What are some of the strengths that you utilize when you put your message out there? Any questions, feel free to ask. I'll be happy to answer them. And I'll see you soon in one of my future videos. You take care, stay awesome. Bye.